Hey y'all, woo, happy Halloween. The weather has turned. It finally feels, like fall again, which is beautiful. It's kind of spooky outside because it's overcast and cloudy and, the ambiance is just right for Halloween. But I do want to talk about a serious and sad topic. Matthew Perry. I was so... it's just tragic, his death. And normally I'm not one that gets overly emotional, is that a word now? Overly emotional about, I still can't say that word, emotional about the death of a celebrity. But, Matthew Perry and Friends, I think was, it's just such a part of most of our lives. I was in my 20s when that show came on. It was such a popular show, and how can you not like Chandler Bing, right? I think, he's such a relatable character, such a lovable character, and he embodied that character. He was such a brilliant actor. His comedic timing was impeccable, and he just brought Chandler to life. And Friends, even to this day, like my kids love Friends, right? And it gets people through stuff. I remember my friend Colin, when he was going through divorce, he said, that show got me through my divorce, right? I know now even I'll turn it on, you kind of feeling kind of old, like, wow, life is kind of passing me by. You turn on Friends and you feel young again. And Matthew Perry was just, from all accounts, a really sweet, fun-loving, happy guy. But the man struggled so much during his life. I am reading his memoir, which came out last year. It's called Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. And, he really went into detail about his struggles with addiction, about his kind of ongoing quest to be loved. There was this huge void in him that he was constantly trying to fill. And it went back to his childhood. His parents, they met young. They were only married a year. He was just a baby when they divorced. His dad went to California. His mom went back to Canada. She was working a lot. She worked for the Prime Minister. And he felt like he was always kind of competing for her attention. Hey, Mom, look at me. And his dad, of course, kind of felt abandoned by his dad. And they were young. I think his mother was 19 or 20 when she had him. They were very young parents. And he was a latchkey kid. And so these things kind of really affected him. And so he really goes into details about that. He talks about his mother putting him on a plane at 5 years old to go visit his dad. And he was on his own, and how traumatic that was, which, in the 70s was not that big of a deal, believe it or not. Things were much different back then. And, it's just, he took his first drink at 14, and I don't know. It's a really good book, but it's also very, very sad. It's very sad. He talks about when his mother married Keith Morrison. They went on to have, I think, four other children, and he just never really felt like he fit in. He and his mother would argue a lot. He loves Keith. He loved him very much. And he loves his mother. He loves his mother and father very much. And I think relationships with both of his parents got better as he got older. But there was a lot of conflict for a while. And so when he got Friends, he thought, okay, this is going to fill the void. This is what I've been waiting for. And he even prayed to God. He said, God, just make me famous and you can do whatever you want with me. And he said in later years, he regretted that because he did get famous. But then he had the drug addiction and the alcoholism that he had to deal with. And he said, that was such a foolish prayer looking back, And he had his first pain pill, opioid. He was dating Julia Roberts at the time. At the height of his career, everything was going swimmingly. And he was in an accident. And the doctor gave him a pain pill. He said, here, take this for the pain. And he took it. And he's like, oh, wow, all of a sudden, I'm not worried about my depression or this void, or this need to be loved or being scared to be alone or being abandoned. And he called the doctor the next day and he said, hey, I'm still in pain, got 50 more pills. And, a year later, he weighed 128 pounds and he ended up in rehab. And he was young then and he bounced back pretty quickly. But the first rehab he went to, they really didn't teach him how to treat the addiction. And so nothing was resolved. And anyway, in and out of rehab he would go, right? And he just constantly struggled and battled. But the beautiful thing about Matthew Perry was he kept striving. He kept trying. He was in therapy for 30 years. I think towards the end of his life, he had gotten it right. I mean, I guess, we'll see. But, his body took a toll. I mean, doing the drugs and the alcohol, really took a toll on his body. And we saw that, with his speech and stuff. When the book opens, he's in rehab and he's in pain and his colon explodes. His heart stops beating for 5 minutes and he almost dies then. And I think that's what's so eerie about when the book opens, because he says, I almost died. And if you're reading this, it's from the great beyond, my beyond. And it's just, I don't know. But he wanted to be remembered as someone who helped people. And he said, more than friends, I hope that people remember me as someone who helped and who gave back. And he did, with all the things that he struggled with and all the pain. He opened a house for men to help them deal with addiction. I've heard people say, if you met him on the street and you were struggling, he would stop and he would talk to you. If you look at the reviews for his book, you'll see people who will say, Matt, listen, I was struggling with addiction. I read this book. You have no idea how much it helped me. And so I think if, hopefully he knows wherever he is that he did help people. And hopefully he sees all the love and how he's missed. And I don't know, it's just sad. It's sad. And it's ridiculous. I'm tearing up, again, because you do feel like you've lost a friend. It's crazy. But anyway, so this is what this is about. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Matthew Perry. And I know I'm kind of stumbling through it as I often do. But the book is good. It's really good. But it's just, it hurts. It hurts reading it because it's just, you feel his pain. You see this man that was blessed with so much, but yet struggled with so much. But yet he kept this kind of positive attitude and this giving spirit. And, it's really inspiring in a lot of ways. Anyway, y'all, happy Halloween. And until next time, be well.